Hi Steffen.
Come va?
Bene, and you? To meet you.
Likewise. How are you doing?
On Rock and Roll Radio and Rock and Roll TV.
Lovely, nice to see you. Where are you from? Which part of Italy? Ah, bene.
Do you speak Italian?
My girlfriend is from Italy and I'm in the country
Okay.
like 2 or 3 times a year, and I spend a lot of time in Rome, Roma, Trento, or Sicilia. So many friends over there, and always a pleasure coming back. And we are at the Legend Club, I think, in around
Legend
a week.
Club in Milan. Siamo qui con Steffen Kummerer degli Obscura e parto con la prima domanda. Dal 2002 ad oggi, quanto è cambiato nelle sonorità secondo te il death metal?
To be honest, there has been so many changes in gear, so many changes in recordings, in the tour section, but in the very end the music is always the same. It's all about enthusiasm, it's about, well, bringing out your vision to the world somehow. And there are timeless records from the 90s, there are timeless records from these days, and in the very end it's just about the music itself. So to me, except the outlines, the music itself didn't change so much. But it's always great to hear, you know, some new sounds, some bands that evolve into something new. But in the very end, death metal is death metal.
Yeah, of course. Ho fatto a voi questa domanda perché io ho sempre apprezzato della vostra band il fatto che ci siano state anche delle influenze jazz, progressive, quindi secondo me voi rappresentate un po' come band le nuove frontiere del death metal.
I think there are many artists out there who listen to many different styles, and so do we. And yes, progressive metal, jazz, but also a lot of pop structures are very interesting to listen to. If you go back to the 70s or the 80s, there are so many wonderful, great productions. You can adapt so many great things. And if it's jazz or progressive, that's only one part. You know, the world is so big. But I understand it. If the music is getting very complex and very demanding or abstract at some part, people always combine it with like jazz or prog. But sometimes even the easiest listening bands can show so much more under the surface. But well, for our style, for our small niche, we are somehow located not only in death metal. Death metal is like one niche, but we are in a smaller niche, this technical or progressive part. It's quite common, to be honest. And if I talk to other friends of other bands like Revocation or Rivers of Nile, they also hear so many different styles, and a lot of jazz, a lot of music, classical music, and prog rock. There's no. The cool thing about metal is there are no limits. You can do whatever you want, and if you have different influences, just bring it in. And for a lot of us, it's like prog rock or jazz, as you mentioned. Just the levels of influence are kind of different. Sometimes it's very free, sometimes it's very structured, but again, there are no limits.
Ne approfitto perché a me piace sempre chiedere alle band metal che cosa ascoltano quando nel tempo libero, quindi quando non compongono, quando magari appunto non vestono le vesti dei metallari.
It's really hard to say because that differs every now and then. For the moment, I admire a band from Sweden called Tribulation. That's absolutely fantastic because they evolved from being like a straight up death metal band into something completely else and something really unique, and it's really fun to listen to. And there are also some new like classic metal bands like Nestor, also from Sweden, that are absolutely fantastic, but it's a completely different genre. And I can listen to everything, but not every day. I do not want to wake up with blast beats or Nile or Belfigur for breakfast. Maybe rather Colapesce di Quantino or something.
No!
But
Palermo!
Sì, di Sicilia. It always depends on the vibe every day. So, and the same is with live. It's music that somehow influences whatever you write as a composer, but at the same time it's also the outlines, how you feel. If you think about those early albums of, let's say, Metallica, they've been all rock and roll dudes, like touring around, doing all kinds of sex, cocaine, rock and roll, whatever. And the music differed so much when they've been more laid back and settled. And I think live as a general influences music. You write a lot, and for Obscura, I would say the last couple of years we are influenced a lot by bands that are more authentic. So I try to get away from polished productions. So I really like to hear a real band, and there are very good examples, like Mastodon, for example, fantastic band from the United States, and they also have a lot of progressive elements to offer, but it's not polished at all. It's great produced, but you hear every edge, every characteristic of the drummer, of the singer, bassist, of the guitars, everything. And I love this kind of music where you really hear the character of each musician, and it's not like a polished computer game production. And that shifted a lot. So let's see how the next album sounds. Maybe it's completely polished. I don't know yet.
Torniamo a Silver Linings, che è il nome della serie di date di questo tour che appunto terrete in Europa, e a supporto di a Sonication, che uscirà il 7 febbraio 2025, e ti chiedo 3 caratteristiche di questo album.
The new album, compared to everything we did in the past, it's a slightly tad more melancholic at times. It's very authentic and introverted. The previous album, for example, Valediction, was very like straight in your face, a lot of like very aggressive guitar work. And the new one is more built on layers, so it's more like a wall of sound, it's more laid back. And therefore the vibe and pace is a little bit different. From my perspective, the band always sounds like the band sounds, but the devil is in the detail. And therefore the new album is slightly more laid back, maybe even a little bit more melodic, if you want to call it like that. And on the new tour we are going to start in just a couple of days. We are going to present a lot of songs of the new record and also the previous one, so you see the contrast like live. And if you want to show up at Legend Club, of course you're more than welcome.
Volevo chiederti una cosa sul ciclo compositivo, come funziona negli Obscura oggi, ma oppure quanto è cambiato nel tempo?
It changed a little bit when it comes to production, because when we started there was no digital recording. So the first 2 albums I recorded demos on a 4-track cassette recorder. So you had 4 tracks and there was no editing. So you had to play all the songs from front to end, and if you made a mistake, you had to do it again. And these days it's much more easy. And that also changes a little bit how you write and compose. Back then everything was done in a rehearsal room, with the other musicians in one room, and we just tried out a couple of parts. And these days it's more like a real composition process. We work a lot with notation software. We work with Guitar Pro. It's a very common software just to transcribe your ideas and keep it ready. And combine it with like demo productions at home. And this is very cool, because at the one time you have the spontaneous idea. Let's say, okay, I have 5 riffs that are fantastic, I don't know what to do it, so you just record it, you make a rough arrangement, and then you can transcribe it in Guitar Pro, and then you analyze maybe the harmonics, maybe some additional lines. You can work a little bit with all the rhythm patterns, and that was not possible back in the day. So that definitely shaped the sound. And I think the biggest shift in the band you could hear from the first album, Retribution, that's what we did in 2004, to the second album that has been released in 2009, Cosmogenesis. Then we started working with Guitar Pro, and the sound shifted totally, because it was so more easy to also notate all of those ideas and keep that in mind. And these days I would say it's more or less the same, because you have different ideas, different melodies that come from here and there, but the approach to produce an album changed. As I mentioned before, the devil is always in the detail, and I always try to make the album sound a little bit different. So it's not going to repeat yourself constantly. It's more about working on one nice idea and lay out an entire album front to end. And with now 7 albums and more than 20 years being around, we are all more confident with what we are doing, and therefore you don't mind to experiment. Like 10, 15 years ago, I would question myself like 10 times, oh God, is this really death metal? Is this part accepted in the scene? And these days I really don't care anymore. That's a big difference.
Tra pochi giorni parte il tour, noi non vediamo l'ora ovviamente di avervi in Italia, e ti chiedo che cosa ci dobbiamo aspettare da Silver Linings, appunto European Tour 2025.
Well, first of all, we have a fantastic package to offer. It's always not only one band playing a night. We invited Skeletal Remains from the United States, fantastic band if you're into like classic US death metal, and the French from Gorod, fantastic. It's also a techie band, but they have like different twists in the groove. So definitely 3 bands that are worth just to visit. I always encourage all the fans to watch all bands, not only one, because every support band might be the next headliner. That's just fair. So what else you can expect? We are definitely presenting a lot of songs of the new record. We have a new stage production, and well, we are always happy to see many of our loyal fans just to, well, have a good time in the evening, have a good party, and well, a little bit death metal after aperitivo, you know?
Yeah. Steph, ultimissima domanda, giuro. Qual è la tua traccia preferita di A Sonication?
I would say Stardust, because it's a little bit more personal on that end. So if the album is out, it's next week, have a listen, and well, enjoy Silver Linings, and see you at Legend Club, hopefully.
Yeah. Ci vediamo al Legend Club. Thank you very much, Steffen. Thank you.
Grazie mille, arrivederci.
Grazie a te.